you did to improve your product, were you also attempting to ascertain what Netscape's dependencies were so that you could attempt to render Netscape less viable, less able to compete with Microsoft?
Objection.
We gathered information about Netscape like we do a number of companies we compete with, including IBM, Sun, Novell, and many others.
Have you finished your answer?
I have.
I'm now asking you about Netscape in particular, and I'm asking you whether you gathered information about Netscape for the purpose, in whole or in part, to determine what Netscape's dependencies were so that you could then try to attack those dependencies and render Netscape a less viable competitor.
Objection.
It's the compoundness of the question that makes it so confusing.
Okay. Is the question so confusing that you really think you can't answer it?
It's the compoundness that makes it so confusing that I don't think I can give you a good answer.
All right. You gathered information about Netscape, correct?
People in the company did. I didn't personally.
Well, you asked them to gather information about Netscape, correct, sir?
I didn't initiate any particular gathering of information. I may have asked questions once I was presented some information.
You told people that you wanted them to gather information concerning such things as Netscape's revenues and head count and how much revenues they got from various sources, things like that. Did you not, sir?
No, we already talked about the fact that there was a normal competitive review done of a number of companies, and I didn't initiate that particular review.
Let me mark as the next exhibit, which will be Government Exhibit 380, a document that I will give you a copy of and give your counsel copies of. The first page of Exhibit 380 contains what purports to be a message from you dated December 1, 1996. Do you see that, sir?
Yes.
Did you write that message?
Yeah, we've already discussed this particular message. As I said, when we discussed it before, I don't remember specifically sending that message, but I don't have any reason to doubt that I did.
You see the first paragraph of this message? It says, what kind of data do we have about how much software companies pay Netscape?
It's weird that you're repeating this exhibit without the enclosures to the email. I think it's very misleading to have the version of the document. You had the real exhibit earlier. Did you lose it?
Mr. Gates, I'm prepared to sit here just as long as you want to have whatever debates you want to have. I think you understand that I put questions and you give answers, and if your counsel has an objection, he makes an objection. And that's the way the deposition will get over with. If we proceed this way, the deposition is never going to get over with. If you need to see something else, we'll take whatever time you need to try to put it in front of you. What I'm asking you about is a document that bears Microsoft's document production numbers, MS6-601-3069, with two additional pages, MS6-601-3070 and 3071. The last two pages of this have stamps that say privileged material redacted, which I will represent to you means that your counsel has whited out what was there. Now, I don't have any objection to being given that privileged material that's been redacted, and I can ask you about that too. But what I'm asking you about right now is this document that was produced to us by your counsel.
And I've told you it appears to be incomplete.
If I can cut through this a little bit.
Yeah,
Mr.
sure.
Gibbs is simply referring to the fact that there's another version of this produced where the material was not redacted because the redaction in this case was in error. It's a simple matter.
But I also think that the previous exhibit, if I'm thinking about the one that you have, has a different document production number. It has a different number of pages. It was something that was marked by the states.
I think all of that is probably true.
And I'm happy to have that other document in front of the witness if he thinks he needs it. What I want to do, though, is just talk about his email. And I don't think his email is in any way incomplete.
Yes, sir. It is certainly incomplete.
Okay, sir. Then tell me how it is incomplete.
Do you see where it says RE colon?
Yes.
That means there's an enclosure.
You mean your email is missing the enclosure? Is that what you're saying?
Right, so the thing that I'm referring to in my email is completely missing here, which it wasn't earlier in this deposition.
It was not missing earlier in the deposition?
That's right.
All right, sir. Let's see if we can find the earlier exhibit that you're referring to. Let me see if what you mean to be referring to is Government Exhibit 353.
I didn't see it when I flipped through these. Do you have 353 in this pile?
If the reporter did her job, which she almost always has, when you started the deposition today, you would have had all of the exhibits in numerical order.
Okay, great. There's 353.
Now, first of all, let's see if we can reach some agreement. Is Exhibit 353 the other exhibit that you were referring to?
Yes.
All right. And Exhibit 353, the email from you is the same as the email on Exhibit 380, but Exhibit 353 has an additional email. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. Let me try to go through Exhibit 353. The first email on Exhibit 353 is an email from Mr. Balmer to you and others, correct?
Right.
The second email is an email from you dated December 1, 1996 at 9:24 p.m., correct?
Yes.
There was a third email from Mr. Nehru dated November 27, 1996 at 11:54 a.m., correct?
Well, it's not a separate email, it's part of my email.
Well, sir, let me just try to see if we can get this straight. And we'll read this whole thing into the record if we have to.
I can explain what you're confused about.
I'm not confused, Mr. Gates. Indeed, I think I stated it accurately if you want to start talking about what I think. But my function is to ask you questions. Your function is to give me answers to my questions. Neither of our functions are to debate the other at this point. Exhibit 353 starts with an email dated December 1, 1996 from Mr. Ballmer to you, correct?
There's only one email in here, which is the one from Steve, which has 2 emails enclosed in it.
Well, what is enclosed here are 2 additional emails, correct, sir?
They're part of Steve's email.
That is, Steve, and by Steve you mean Mr. Ballmer, correct?
Yes.
Is sending around with his email 2 earlier emails, correct?
They're part of his email.
Well, when you say they're part of his email, he didn't write them, did he, sir?
No, but they're part of his email.
That is, he is sending them around. That's what I said 3 times. He's sending them around with his email. He wrote something, and in addition to what he wrote, he's sending around what 2 other people wrote earlier. Correct, sir?
It's part of his communication. It's not separate.
I don't know what you mean by part or separate, and neither one of those were in my question, Mr. Gates. My question is, Mr. Ballmer wrote an email that he sent around, and with that email, he sent around 2 earlier emails. That's clearly what's going on here, right, sir?
He only sent one thing.
All right, sir. The first line on Exhibit 353 says Leslie Halverson, LCA, correct? Mr. Gates?
Yes.
Okay. The next line says from Steve Ballmer. The next line says sent Sunday, December 1, 1996, 9:25 p.m. to Bill Gates, Amor Nehru. Correct?
Did yours say 9:25?
Well, on 353, it looks like 9:26.
Right. And you said 9:25.
Okay, then I misspoke.
Without amendment, it is correct, though, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And it then goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more lines, and then there is a line that says original message, correct?
Right.
And that says from Bill Gates, correct?
That's right.
And it says you sent it Sunday, December 1, 1996 at 9:24 p.m., correct?
That's right.
And then it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines, and then there is another line that says original message, correct, sir?
That's right.
And that says it's from Mr. Nehru, correct?
That's right.
And it says it was sent on Wednesday, November 27th, 1996 at 11:54 a.m., correct, sir?
Right.
Now, the portion that follows your line that says, I don't think this analysis needed to be sent to so many people, that's the last line before the line that says original message from Mr. Nehru, correct?
That's right.
Everything after your line saying, I don't think this analysis needed to be sent to so many people, has been blocked out on Exhibit 380, correct? And replaced with a stamp that says privileged material redacted.
Do I still have 380?
Unless you have eaten it. The one that we just marked a few moments ago, a few minutes ago. It's gone. Okay, in any event, your counsel has in front of him, another copy of it.
Yes.
And we'll use that copy.
Yeah, it looks like they're the same, except that they've deleted the part of my message where I enclosed the information from MR.
Now, when you say you enclosed the information from Amar, you mean where you enclosed Mr. Amar's email
As part of my email. That's
in
why-
Hike Verba,
Don't use that.
okay? Word for word.
Yes, it appears to be his email, word for word.
Okay, that's all I was trying to make sure the record was clear.
I'm ready for a break whenever, if you're about to get into the more interesting part.
We can take a break.
Time is 10:38. We are going off the record.